Hello, and welcome back to my GF Makes Me Read Homestuck with...
Me, I'm the GF, Arma, hello.
Yee. And we are... when we left off, we had just been doing a bit where we could actually control Egbert directly for the first time. So, yay. But
Do you remember what happened last time?
Oh god, I gotta do a recap. It's been a while. It's been a while. We had gotten the Spurb game started, we had activated it, and we're like... It had caused a meteorite to crash down, but I assume, warped ourselves somewhere else last minute. The other girl went and went up to her observatory so that she could get better reception. And now the two of them are playing Spurb. We kerneled the sprite with the Harlequin. And am I
Sounds
missing
about
anything
right.
important? Dad's missing?
Right. No, I think at least that's good enough for me because I have goldfish brain anyway.
Okay. So anyway, if you want to see what can be found when running around, watch the last part on YouTube. But I know it's as of the time we're live, that's not on YouTube yet. So if you're on Twitch, you can't watch it. But whatever. Boy, quit all that scurrying around.
For the last time, this boy's name is John.
Fine, John. Return to your quarters. Leave the nickels and dimes behind.
That just took a moment to click for me.
Hmm?
You'll go back to your bedroom, tiptoeing around this weird petroleum-based sludge.
Hang on. I was just adjusting one thing. Now, John, respond to your friend unit. It's taking a moment for things to load on my end. Cool. Wait, you were TT, right?
I think so. It's been a while.
Yeah. On YouTube, it will have been like only a couple days, but on those of you on Twitch, like it's been like almost a month, I think.
Yeah, I got busy.
Yeah.
John, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here, and not dead, I think.
I know. I've been watching you scramble through the house like a lunatic. You should have answered me sooner.
Oh man, sorry. I was looking around for my dad, and I can't find him anywhere. Blah, blah, blah. Have you seen him?
No, but I'm sure he'll turn up. We have more important things to address right now.
Yeah, like where am I?
I don't know that either, but I've determined your neighborhood was destroyed by the meteor. Wherever you were transported, it saved you from the impact. I've been reading reports in the news. Over the last few days, there have been many smaller meteor collisions with people's homes around the world, and they seem to be getting bigger. Yours was the biggest they've identified so far.
Wow. Okay. So I guess if this is all the game's doing, then the point is for us to save the world?
Perhaps.
Then we better get moving and figure this game out.
Yes, but wait.
Again, they're taking this all really well in stride.
Yeah, it's these kids. We should retrieve your PDA yet again. It will help to keep the tabs on each other while you investigate. I think I can get you closer to it if I can replenish our grist supply somewhat. There may be a way to recycle some that we already used.
Okay.
I'll meet you on the balcony.
Wait, Rose. One thing.
What?
You never even wished me a happy birthday. Hello?
I was working on something to send you, but I was running late with it. I didn't want you to think I believed meager well wishes alone would suffice for you for the occasion. That said, happy birthday, John.
Oh geez, this is silly. Anyway, thanks. God, it's like when young kids are trying really hard to seem mature. That's how they feel.
That's accurate. Yeah.
First, take the fabric item on the floor there.
The towel? Why? Oh well, you're the boss. You capture lock the towel. What now?
Do as the purple text says. To the balcony. I'm beginning to suspect that these are the author, like the rather than viewer comments, this dialogue.
Yeah, I'd say so. John makes his way to the balcony, per your awkwardly worded request.
Wait, take that blue wobbly thing.
You whimsically decide to capture lock the totem, which was used to create the apple tree earlier.
John, recycle the grist as was dictated by your cohort.
John cannot do anything with the grist as of this moment. That is up to the bird player.
I see. Equals greater than question mark?
Yes, that will suffice. Rose deletes the perfectly generic object. 6 units of build grist are restored to your grist cache.
Equals greater than.
Rose expends the grist to drag a new plank from the balcony in the direction of the PDA.
John, run across the precarious platform swiftly.
John isn't sure about that. It's a long way down.
Boy! I said make haste on the narrow catwalk!
John is very nervous about the idea, and the strident tone of your commands is starting to make him a little upset.
Fine. Proceed as your level of comfort dictates. Or vagina takes, if that's your preferred terminology.
Silly nugget. You cautiously walk within range of the PDA. Rose retrieves it.
Now take it! Dumbledore said calmly.
You grab the PDA, launching one of the Harlequin figurines into the night. You can kiss that one goodbye.
Equals greater than. Equals greater than.
Just one equals greater than command will suffice.
Definitely him teasing a commenter that used that.
It looks like you're not the only one trying to locate your father after the disaster.
Hang on, so... Now, we gotta remember, it's bottom to top for whatever reason.
Right. And they're all Daddy DeVito.
Submitting inquiry of concern over a cataclysmic event. Pipefan 413 reply. At Pipefan 413, status of health/wardrobe. Neighboring house struck by flaming projectile. In light of fire hazard, vacating house of all expensive garments. GL Fedora Freak. Salvage as many hats as is practical. Fedora Freak, you are in our thoughts, along with Pipefan 413. We all are in all his inevitable collection of pipes. Or enviable, sorry, it's hard to read. Man, you know, I kept thinking like pipes as in like metal pipes, and I was like, no wait, it means like smoking pipes, Brian. TYL report. Most hats removed from danger. Ties next. The following matters have been submitted in frank and forthright manner for Pipe Fan 413's judicious I can read. Alright, these boring men are uninteresting. To the pester
John?
log. Sorry.
John, are you okay? That's okay. You seem a bit tentative.
I'm fine, I guess. Since I got here, I feel compelled to do these weird things I don't really want to do. By some kind of voice that I can't really even hear. I don't know. It is hard to explain.
Perhaps the early symptoms of an anxiety disorder, like post-traumatic stress?
Yeah, maybe, who knows.
Well, if you can pull yourself together, there are a few more things we should try. Like prototyping the kernelsprite again, if possible. We should hurry. My laptop battery won't last forever.
Okay, I will go back. Okay, I will go back inside. No, don't do that! Hop off the ledge and onto that car.
What? No, that sounds incredibly dangerous.
Equals greater than equals greater than equals greater than equals greater than equals greater than. Can we get a remix? Arms dancing. She's dancing to it.
I'm vibing to it.
Equals greater than equals greater than equals.
The new beat. Now you're just
Wow,
being a pest.
GMOing is going that far? The new beat. Genetically modified crops.
Oh, that one. That one took even more than before.
I remember when I worked at, in the produce department once. I looked over to one of my coworkers and I called out his name. He's like across the produce section from me. I held out a beat and I dropped it and it went.
God. You're a dork.
Love you.
Which turnip truck did you just tumble out of anyway?
Huh,
Who
topical.
Are you? Yeah.
Years in the future, but not many. Oh, it's the robed dude. Didn't he see this thing?
Yes, he did.
An unsealed tunnel welcomes hot desert air into its stagnant depths. That opens up a new tab for us.
Does it? Oh,
Yes.
right. Forgot to click it.
I love this man. Oh! You can see Egbert. Boy. You there, boy. My god, he's the voice.
He is the voice.
He is Kratos. I've inadvertently given this man a Kratos voice. Man, if I had known it was him, I would have gone for a different voice, but that's what we're using now.
Great.
Okay. Equals greater than. Game facts.
Oh boy, here
Alright,
comes another
this is all you.
Yes. Lalonde, I curse thee. An examination of the basics. Upon connecting with the client user, you, the server user, will be met with a control panel allowing you to manipulate your co-player's environment. You will find that you are allowed to deploy 4 items at no expense. 3 of these are rather large machines, and 1 is a punch card. It's quite possible that you have already deployed some of these items before reading this. If this is the case, and you have activated the machines called the Cruxtruder, such that is displayed as a such that it displays a countdown. You must proceed to section A100 of this walkthrough immediately. The life of the client users depends on it. If your co-player has activated this device in your environment too, then yours does as well. But if not, please refrain from doing anything with the Cruxtruder aside from merely deploying it. This will buy us some time to think things through properly and to go over the basics of the game before you find your soft, easily punctured head in the jaws of the lion. As mentioned, there are 4 items to consider, each playing a role in the process which appears to have a singular purpose: to manufacture objects out of thin air. The designers of the game, judging by the language used, regard this process as a sort of alchemy. This may allude to complexities in the production process yet to present themselves, but for now, the variety of objects you are able to create remains quite limited. The items in questions are the Cruxtruder, again, tread lightly with this one, the totem lathe, the alchemitter, and the pre-punched card. I will describe how these devices work in conjunction with each other, and I will use the analogy of having a key made at a hardware store to help you understand. First, deploy all of these objects in convenient proximity to each other. Be sure not to block doors or pathways with them. You can always revise the dimensions of the rooms to make space for them, but I advise against this, or even experimenting with the function. Doing so comes at the expense of build grist, a commodity which appears to be at a premium at one set, and you'd be best advised to save for later. The Cruxtruder. Removing the lid signals the moment your life becomes a great whirling batshit pandemonium, somewhat resembling the chaos of an especially ethnic wedding. Somewhere a soused. Soused? What is that word? Somewhere a soused uncle deliberately shatters china on the floor. Muddy livestock is decorated and then lost track of. The question, whose mule is this, at times can be heard over the din. This is now your reality. But aside from that, it marks the beginning of the process I'm about to describe. The countdown begins, yes. Also, an entity called the kernelsprite is released. But neither of these things are all that relevant to the process, to my knowledge. More on these things later. What is relevant is the unlidded Cruxtruder's ability to dispense Cruxide dowels. It will dispense at least one, though I suspect it is capable of producing more, given parameters I'm not yet familiar with. In my key-making analogy, these dowels represent the uncarved pieces of metal which the hardware store employee retrieves from a drawer of a rack and sets about carving into a key. The 2 following items are needed to do the carving. The 3-punched card. It is a simple Siladex card containing an item. There is evidence to suggest the specific item it contains is variable from session to session. The card I deployed contained a blue apple. Yours may be different. It shouldn't matter, hopefully. Additionally, the card, as you may guess, is punched, like one used with antique computing systems. The pattern of holes comprises data, which I believe corresponds to the instruction for creating the item the card contains. That it is pre-punched suggests there is a way to punch an unpunched card, possibly imprinting it with the data for the item it contains, though no mechanism for this has presented itself yet. But the data on the card cannot be used to create the item directly. There is a middleman. The middleman is the totem lathe. The totem lathe. This is essentially the key carving machine. It will carve into your Cruxide dowel a pattern of grooves and contours, the sort which makes a key unique. The instructions for this pattern are supplied by the punch card, which is inserted into the lathe pre-activation to configure its chisels. Once the dowel is carved, you have a totem serving as your key, which can then be used to unlock the card item through the alchemitter. But at this point, it will diverge from my key-making analogy to switch to a barcode analogy, which is not a terrible, strenuous leap to make, since the concept of a key and a barcode are essentially the same. One being a unique pattern of grooves, the other of varying black lines. The alchemitter. If you place a Cruxite dowel, carved or uncarved, on the alchemist's small pedestal, its robotic arm will scan the contours with a laser, hence the barcode analogy. This is the machine's way of reading the data originally imprinted from the card, and transforming the data into a physical object. Though typically this is not done without expense, I believe. An uncarved dowel results in the creation of a perfectly generic object, which is a seemingly useless green cube. It costs 2 units to build of guild grist. It costs 2 units of build grist to make, and I do not advise you to waste resources on it. There appears to be many other varieties of grist, ostensibly used in combinations to create different sort of items, which possibly offers some insight into the game's use of the term alchemy. But quite conveniently, there's an exception to this. Creating the item on the pre-punched card costs nothing. This is good because creating this item turns out to be essential. Now that you know this, you can in your own time begin the process. Once you initiate it, naturally there is no going back, so you best be prepared. But probably shouldn't drag your feet too long. As I mentioned earlier, this is your only means of escape. When you're ready, be prepared to follow the steps in the next section swiftly. A100, so your crux shooter is ticking. Do this to live.
I mean, that whole bit about the wedding, like, there's some moments where her the analogies is great. There's some bits where her meandering is infuriating, and I would hate to read this as an actual fucking strategy guide.
Oh, absolutely. She likes hearing herself talk, and you can tell.
Equals greater than.
Okay.
So we see a stormy home. Red lightning in the distance.
As you said, in the distance, meteorites fall with greater frequency. The fire in the forest burns so hot, not even the rain is putting it out.
Rose, check status of battery. Or this isn't Kratos, so.
Your laptop battery is alright for now, but it won't be for long. If the power in the house doesn't come back on, you can think of one last resort. The small backup generator stored behind the mausoleum.
Rose, prototype sprite with Betty Crocker box. Hello?
It's your turn.
Oh, right, sorry. I was waiting for you. I'm a dumb. What? Oh man, you're going to use that? That sucks. What a stupid idea.
We have to hurry along. I'm running low on battery power.
But the cake mix? Oh, that's so dumb.
I doubt it matters. We might as well just use any old crap laying around.
Fine, I guess. Equals greater than.
The sprite is playing hard to get. You guess that's what you get for originally prototyping it with something that engenders mischief and pranksterism.
Do the potted vegetable instead. It looks delicious.
Oh, it is Danny DeVito.
Kratos. Yeah, that one was
Kratos.
Hang on. It said many years, or a few years in the future, but not many, didn't it?
Yes.
So he's talking backwards in time to Egbert.
Mm-hmm. That he is.
Huh.
Pipe down, you. This is Rose's decision, not yours.
Rose. Prototype sprite with the Sassacre text. Sassacre. Oh yes, sweet. Now we're talking. Oh, I just egged.
Focus. See if you can't distract it. I'll try and sneak up on it.
John, flail about in a distracting manner.
The sprite finds the distracting manner in which you flail about to be rather distracting.
Equals greater than.
The pesky sprite eludes you again. Not even the great colonel himself can outfox it. In narrowly missing with your attempt to create the colonel sprite, you drop the massive tome. The entire house rattles under the astonishing girth of the book.
You know what else the house would rumble under the astonishing girth of?
These nuts.
I love the delay. Equals greater than.
In the other room, Nana's ashes dump onto the sprite, which is caught unaware by the dowsing.
Inspect Hag Ash incident.
Wow, rude. You find the sacred urn toppled again. This time you're quite sure it wasn't your fault. The sprite is nowhere to be found.
Rose, remove Crux from doorway. Aw, man, where'd it go?
I can't find it anywhere in the house. No time to worry about it. The next thing we should do is get your server copy of the game from the car. You need to connect to my client, so I can repeat your steps and presumably join you wherever you are. We should do this quickly before my house burns down.
Wait, there's a fire?
There will be soon.
Oh geez, so move this thing already.
It looks like it requires a lot of grist to move. I don't have enough to relocate the door either.
How much do you have?
0.
Oh, huh. I thought about jumping to the car from the ledge earlier, but that sounded really dangerous.
I have a better idea. Meet me upstairs.
So hang on, it says it costs 100 to move, but they only have a cap of 20. I guess that's a thing they can upgrade. Do again as purple words say.
You're about to head upstairs, but you thought you heard something behind you. It was faint, but you could swear it was a small, light-hearted chuckle, along the lines of a spirited "ooh, ooh, ooh."
Equals greater than. Yeah, how do I do? Ho ho ho. That doesn't sound Danny DeVito-y. Ignore
It's
this.
Granny. It's Granny DeVito, so you can do whatever you want.
Ignore this woman's antics. See, I knew. The granny coming back from the dead from her ashes is a thing I knew. I didn't know how it was gonna happen. But when it started mentioning the kernelsprite, I was like, are they gonna put the ashes in it? So I kind of saw that coming.
Of course, you have the future sight. You're not sure you even saw a woman, let alone any of her hypothetical antics, but whatever it was you might have caught a glimpse of, it sure gave you the willies. You head upstairs on your way to the balcony. Your PDA is acting up again.
I just realized we've been going for about 30 minutes.
Oh goodness, the ramble of her text was probably most of it.
So, we're going to create a breaking point there on the recording. And it's actually kind of late at night, so I know we didn't do a lot, but I think I'm gonna want to wrap up there, if you're okay with it, Arm.
Seriously, okay, if you think that is a good wrapping up point, we can call this part the part where nothing happens.
What do you mean? We brought back the dead. Anyway, I hope you've all been enjoying it. We'll be back with more of it fairly soon. And ta-ta. I've been Brian.
And I've been Arma.
And ta-ta. Oh.